So if somebody's having that volley match in their mind about savings versus investing, it probably should be savings and investing. And how should they approach both? You talked about how it's important to have your goals timelined out and how you have them to where you can see them in relation to each other. How do we proceed through the mental barriers of intimidation when it comes to investing? How do we properly allocate how much of our energy should go towards saving versus investing, so on and so forth?
Well, and I can jump in on this one because I saw this all the time. People would come into my office and say, investing is scary. There's so much risk. And if your goal is longer than 10 years away, if it's shorter than 10 years away, then we can talk about money in a savings account. But let's be clear, right now, especially, we're looking at things cost a heck of a lot more now than they did 12 months ago. And if your money's sitting in a savings account, it's earning maybe 0.05%. Maybe if you're lucky, you're getting 0.5%, right? But we're seeing that these treasury bonds that are just based on inflation are paying 7 because inflation's been 7. So if we're not beating 7%, we're actually falling behind. So whenever somebody would tell me that they don't want to invest money because it's not safe, I would have to turn that around on them and say, here's the deal. If we keep money in a savings account, you're going to very safely lose purchasing power. Like very safely, you will get nowhere. And you have to save dollar for dollar. So think about that. If I want to retire on the same amount of money I'm living on right now, and maybe you don't, but let's just say that you do, and you end up retired for 30 years, well, then you're going to have to live on 50% of your income while you save the other 50% for 30 years. I don't know that anybody can do that. I mean, maybe you can. And we hear the fire movement people that do that for a while. But my goal is not to live in a tent and just eat rice and beans all the time. I mean, and by the way, no stank if you like that. If that's your goal, that's fine. But I don't want that. And so to save that much money is almost impossible. So what I have to find is this. There are asset classes that are reliable when it comes to getting you there long term. It's like a taxi ride that's going down a really bumpy road. It's going to be bumpy getting there, but two asset classes have historically kicked inflation's butt over and over and over. And it's the stock market, widely the stock market, not buying individual stocks, but buying index funds, diversifying, making sure that you're safe. But the stock market historically has been over 10%. Will it continue at that? I don't know, but it's always beaten inflation, which is what we want. The other one is real estate, diversify, not one property, but diversified real estate. When you look at the North American Real Estate Investment Trust Index, the NAREIT index, versus the S&P 500, which is the stock market index, one's returned like 10.2 and the other one like 10.5 over long periods of time. So they get to about the same place. I like owning both. Lead with the one that makes you more comfortable. But those two asset classes are the ones that get you there reliably. I feel like even though, and we could have a discussion about blockchain for a second, we don't do it, even though it's modern money management much in the book, because our goal is to get you to the point that if you want to do blockchain, you want to do crypto, you want to do NFTs, that you're not doing it like a lottery ticket, like a lot of people are. You're instead doing it with a foundation. And NFTs right now, I mean, if you're buying an 8-bit picture of a tree that maybe comes with some, I'm going to meet a celebrity in the future, and so I'm investing in that. It feels a little to me like you're old enough to know Beanie Babies. Remember the whole Beanie Baby thing, where and then they're worth a ton of money, and then they were gone. I feel like there's and right. And by the way, nothing against NFTs. I think the blockchain piece of that's solid, like proving ownership. It could be great for music. It could be good for property. It could be good for a lot of things. But this art craze going on right now, I think is crazy.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I think it's important to make intelligent decisions. You were about to say something, Emily?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think is really important is how we use language when we talk about money. I mean, a big reason why people find finance to be intimidating is because it has a different language. It has all this jargon. I mean, there's the alphabet soup of the different words and things like that, and so people feel like, oh my goodness, I have to learn a new language. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think it's partially because people are comfortable with the word saving, but we hear people talk about saving for retirement when what you're really doing is investing for retirement. Because as Joe said, like, you'd have to save dollar for dollar what you'd need. And you can't do that. I mean, like, unless you're making a huge amount of money and planning on not living on much in retirement. And luckily, you don't have to, because you can invest. You can partner with your money and let your money do some work for you in growing. And so if we kind of shift the conversation and start talking about it as we invest for retirement, for one thing, that I feel like can help overcome that level of intimidation, because it becomes a part of our regular just conversation. Is like, yeah, I'm investing for retirement. I've got a 401k, instead of it being like, oh, investing is this thing that like the big kids do. And so that's one of the things that I try really hard to make sure I don't use that terminology of saving for retirement, because yes, you are saving money in that you're putting money that you've earned aside, but you are really doing something much more than just saving when you are putting your money into a 401k, putting your money into the stock market. And so shifting the way that we talk about it can not only help people get a better sense of like what you gain by investing, but it can also lower the temperature on that intimidation factor, because it becomes something we talk about more often and becomes a more regular part of our conversations.
British people have this phrase, God save the Queen. And if they really want to save the Queen long term, you don't save the Queen, you invest the Queen. So it should be God invest the Queen if you really want to save the Queen. Just saying, British people, you got it a little wrong.
Paradigm shift, guys. We're moving from saving to investing. Saving to investing. Yes, you need savings, but you need to not ignore investing. And Emily just talked about a powerful word called conversation. And really, if you're in a relationship, it's important that you have conversations about your money and come up with a plan